Good morning, children. Yesterday's class you discussed, you learned about the heterotrophic nutrition. So what do you mean by heterotrophic nutrition? Then how many types of heterotrophic nutrition? All that. So let us recall once. What do you understand by the term heterotrophic nutrition? So a type of nutrition are collecting nutrients where the organisms are going to depend on other organisms. So some of the living organisms they depend on other organisms for the food. So such type of nutrition is called heterotrophic nutrition, and organisms which cannot prepare their own food and which can depend on other organisms for food source are called as heterotrophs. So in that heterotrophic nutrition, different types are there again. Okay. So first one you learned saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition. Then parasitic nutrition. Even another type is also there, mixotrophic nutrition, like that. Okay, so now here saprophytic nutrition, some of the organisms like fungi, other kinds of molds, what do they do means they are going to release chemicals which are said to be enzymes. So those chemicals are going to be just released on the dead bodies of plants or animals, and the enzymes are making the food easily digestible, and that can become source of energy for them. Okay, so such type of nutrition, that one we call it as a saprophytic nutrition. Okay, so in saprophytes are the organisms which feed on the dead organisms. Okay, by releasing some chemicals on the dead bodies of plants and animals. Is it clear to you? So next one is said to be parasitic nutrition. It is also a type of heterotrophic nutrition where the organism is going to live in another organism. Okay, so inside the body of other organisms the parasites are living. Parasites are the organisms or animals or plant group which live on the other organisms. Okay, so such type of nutrition is called parasitic nutrition. In that internal parasites, external parasites. So internal parasites, tapeworms are there, then roundworms are there which live in the body of human beings and other animals. Apart from that, some kind of bacteria, some kind of like protozoans, for example malarial parasite, it lives in human body and in mosquito. So they are going to live in the other organisms. So the organism in which the parasite is living is called host organism, or the cells are called host cells, and the organism where it is living in the other organism they are called as parasites. Is it clear to children? So more or less these parasites are going to cause harm to the living organisms where they are living. Parasites where they are living. I hope you understood. Is it clear to you? Then one example of parasitic nutrition, that is a plant, Cuscuta plant. It is a flowering plant, and where it is not that dodder plant, it is not having chlorophyll, and the plant can, even if less chlorophyll is there, it cannot able to prepare its own food. So it is going that dodder plant is going to live on the other plants, host plants, and it entangle, and it is going to collect the nutrients from the host plant through the special structures called hostoria. So hook-like structures are there which are going to penetrate into the host plant tissues, that is xylem and phloem. You know that it helps in conducting water as well as minerals and food material. So directly from there these dodder plants are going to collect the nutrients. So dodder is also a flowering plant. So some species they do not have chlorophyll, and one Cuscuta reflexa, it is having very little amount of chlorophyll that is not enough for the plants to survive. So fine thread-like structures you can observe on any other plants. They are the different species of daughter plants only. In that way, the parasitic nutrition we observe in Cuscuta plant. Then, so here internal parasites which are living in other organisms as parasites which are responsible for diseases. Just now I said elephantiasis is caused by a parasite called Wuchereria bancrofti. It is also called as roundworm. Is it clear to children? So it lives in human body causing a disease called elephantiasis. I hope you understood. So these parasites cause harm to the host organisms. I hope you understood. So here mixotrophic nutrition, it is also a type of heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition. So here we are going to observe two different organisms where both the organisms are going to get benefit from each other. So that type of nutrition we call it as a symbiotic nutrition or symbiosis. Symbiotic nutrition, or simply it is a symbiosis. So what do you mean by this symbiotic nutrition? What you are observing? Some organisms are there. Two different organisms are there. Okay, they are going to live together. Is it clear to you? And they are going to get benefit from each other. Is it clear to children? So for example, if you take root nodules of bean family plants. So legume plants, if we observe on the roots of these plants, we observe nodule like structures which we call them as root nodules. So inside that root nodules, one nodule if we dissect and if we see, we observe a large number of bacteria. So what are those bacteria? They are called as rhizobia. Rhizobia bacteria or rhizobium bacteria are present in the root nodules of bean family plants. So what do? I said mutual benefit. So this rhizobium bacteria which are present in root nodules is going to provide nitrogen to the plant. So this nitrogen is fixed by the rhizobium bacteria, and that nitrogen is used up by the plant, and at the same time the plant is going to provide shelter to the bacteria. So bacteria is getting shelter and bacteria is giving back nitrogen to the plant. So two organisms are getting benefit. And that type of nutrition is called as symbiotic nutrition. Like last year you learned lichens or lichens. So lichens are a combination of algae and fungi. So you know that algae prepare its own food. So algae will be present at the center, and the fungi is present all around it. We can observe these lichens on the bark of the trees or on the rocks we can see. Okay, so that lichens are used as one of the spices in our diet also. Is it clear to children? In Hindi it is called patharpur like. So here you know that in lichens, the lichens or lichens, so in the lichens what is happening means, so fungi is going to provide shelter and algae is going to provide food. So algae means we know that it is having a green color pigment chlorophyll, so it able to prepare the food by the process called photosynthesis. So algae provide food to the fungi and fungi provide shelter to the algae. So both organisms are going to get benefit from each other. So it is also, lichens are also an example of a symbiotic type of nutrition. Like that hermit crab and sea anemones, like so many other organisms are there where symbiotic type of nutrition we can observe. Is it clear to children? Then another type of mixotrophic nutrition, very interesting. Where we call that type of nutrition as you can take mixotrophic nutrition, where these organisms, what do they do for additional support, especially plants? Some plants are there. Okay, so what are those plants? Pitcher plant, like Drosera, Utricularia, Nepenthes. Nepenthes. Is it clear to children? So these are called insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants. So in insectivorous plants, example, Nepenthes, Drosera, Utricularia. So pitcher plant we call Nepenthes. Is it clear to you? Commonly. So now in these plants, they contain chlorophyll. They prepare their own food. But for the additional support, they are going to depend on some insects. So these insects are helping. Insects are going to be trapped of some structures which are present in those plants. So when any insect visits that plant, so it is going to become food for these plants. Okay. So these insects, why these plants are pitcher plant or Utricularia, why they are depending on these insects means for additional nitrogen. To get additional nitrogen, these plants, insectivorous plants are depending on insects. It is also a type of heterotrophic nutrition only, where the plant, that insectivorous plants, they can, even if they prepare their own food by the process called photosynthesis, but for additional support to get nitrogen, they are going to depend on insects. Is it clear to children? So like that here, different types of heterotrophic nutrition we learned. So you know that the different types of food items what we are going to consume. Some organisms they take liquid diet, only liquid diet, like some organisms they take only plant products. Some organisms they consume both plant as well as animal products. Some organisms they take simple form of food. Some organisms they take complex form of food where it is getting simplified. Have you followed, children? So here, according to the type of food the organisms are going to consume, how it is there means according to the type of food what they are taking, what they are going to consume, the mouth parts or the different parts associated with digestion are designed or present. Is it clear to children? I hope you understood. So the type of food what the organisms are going to take, so according to that only the structure of the parts related in the process of digestion are designed. Is it clear to children? Then coming to the next point, that saprozoic nutrition means outside the body of the organism, that digestion is going to be taking place by releasing of chemicals on that. Then from that they are going to get the nourishment. Whereas human beings, if we take or any other animal, if we take lion, tiger, if we take what is that, cow, goat, like herbivorous animals, if we take so some specialized parts are there, system is there which helps in bringing the processing of conversion of complex food to simple form. Is it clear to children? Okay, so inside the body the process of digestion is going to happen. So that one we call it as a holozoic nutrition. I hope you understood. So separate system is there, as we are said to be multicellular organisms. In 9th class also you learnt. So the size and shape of the cells or the structure of the cells are designed according to the functions what they are going to be carried out. So complexity we are observing in the living organisms. So what is happening? So different parts are associated, and where the process of simplifying the nutrients is going to happen. So inside the lumen, inside that cavity, the process of digestion is going to happen. So that one we call it as a holozoic nutrition. Is it clear to children? So now in this class, you are going to learn about human digestion. Human digestion. So in detail, you are going to discuss about the process of human digestion. Is it clear to you? So how the process of digesting of food is going to happen in the human body, in our body, that we are going to discuss now. So now if we see here this human digestion, how it is happening. So what are the different steps and which system of our body is helping in bringing the conversion of food to the simple form. So all that we are going to discuss. So is there only one system associated with that? The process of digestion means no, it is not there like that, children. So there is a nice coordination of the digestive system and the parts associated with that with other systems present in our body, which helps in bringing the conversion of complex food to the simple form. So let us learn how it is happening in the human body. Is it clear to children? Then. So now human digestive system is a very very complex in nature, and different parts are involved in the process of digestion, and different functions are going to be carried out by the different parts which are associated with the digestive system. So basically, so the digestive system in human being, digestive system in our body, if we see how the process is going to happen, means organs. So different organs are there. I will write later. Then enzymes. So what are enzymes also you are going to learn. So the organs, different organs are associated with the conversion of food to the simple form. Okay, suppose if we keep food in the mouth itself is not going to digest the food. Is it clear to children? So it starts from the mouth, then where it goes and how it goes, how the food enters into the other parts, and what is happening in the mouth, and what is happening of the food in other parts of the digestive system, that we are going to discuss now in this class. Is it clear to you? So organs are there, enzymes are there, and other systems are there which are going to bring the process of digestion. Is it clear to children? Then now let us start the human digestion and what are the parts associated with the human digestion. So all of you know the different parts associated with the digestion. So what are the different parts associated with, and what do we call that? Means the digestive system is also called as alimentary canal. Alimentary canal or the digestive system. So what are the different parts associated with you know it? Mouth, then esophagus, even I can write gullet, then esophagus, then stomach, small intestine, large intestine, large intestine, liver, pancreas, liver, pancreas, rectum and anus. So these are all the different parts associated with the human digestive system, which is also called as a alimentary canal. So the process of conversion of complex food items, whatever we are going to eat, they are going to be simplified. They are going to be converted to simple form at different parts of the alimentary canal inside. So that's why it is the holozoic nutrition. Inside that alimentary canal, the process of digestion takes place only in the alimentary canal, but not the other systems of our body. I hope you understood. Is it clear to you? So mouth, gullet, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, liver, pancreas, rectum and anus. So all these are the different parts associated with the digestive system. So all these reasons if we observe, or all these parts if we see, so they are specialized. Okay, they are designed in bringing the or in converting the complex food whatever we are going to take into simple form. Not in one part it is happening. So different parts are associated in the process of digestion. Is it clear to children? Then, so you know that what happens when we take the food, what is going to happen. So you will tell. So with the help of hands we are going to mix the food, different items like dal, rice or chapati or idli or curries. Then we are going to put them into our mouth, buccal cavity. Then we are going to crush, grind, masticate. So different process are going to happen in the mouth, and the food is going to be mixed up with the saliva. Then where that food will go? So is it going to be coming back like this through the mouth? No, you are not observing, no children. So that food is going to enter into the other parts. Is it not? So how the process of that food, once if it enters into the mouth, is to the different parts happening. Is it clear to you? So that makes you to understand about the process of digestion, how it is happening. So here these are all parts like mouth or buccal cavity you can take, then liver, pancreas you can take, even intestines you can take. They contain, even stomach also, they contain large number of glands. So here liver and pancreas are glands. So in the mouth we have one kind of glands, salivary glands are there. Then in the stomach also we have glands. In the intestines also we have glands. What do they do? You learned glands are produced from the epithelial tissue, which we call it as glandular epithelium. I hope you remember. Okay, so these glands are going to produce some chemicals. Earlier we have written enzymes. Okay, so they also will help in the process of digestion. Is it clear to children? So now let us learn in detail in each and every part what are the changes happening when we are taking the food. So how it enters from one part to the other part, that we are going to discuss now in this class. You learned just now the parts of digestive system, that is mouth, gullet, esophagus, small intestine, large intestine, stomach, then associated glands like liver, pancreas, then rectum and anus. Okay, so the basic functions of this digestive system, so as you learned just now, it helps in bringing the process of digestion. So the digestive system is having important functions. What are those important functions carried out by the digestive system? Functions of digestive system. First one is said to be ingestion. Is it clear to you? Then digestion. Then absorption. Then defecation. Is it clear to children? So like that here in the digestive system is doing 4 major functions with the help of organs and associated glands. So ingestion, then digestion, absorption and defecation. What do you mean by ingestion? Intake of nutrients, taking a food into the body. Is it clear to you? So in the process of ingestion, what you are doing? We are just taking the food into our body. Is it clear? Suppose if food is in the plate, it won't be called as ingestion. So that food, whatever it is there in the plate, it has to reach to your body. Is it not? With the help of fingers or with the help of a spoon, we are going to keep the food in the mouth. Is it clear to you? So that process we call it as a ingestion. Then digestion. Next step. The second function, digestion. So what do you mean by digestion? The process of conversion of complex food items. Complex food items means we are eating different varieties of food items. Is it not, children? Like you are eating different types of breakfast you are taking, and lunch you are taking. Then dinner you are taking at regular intervals. We are going to take different types of food items. Is it not? So for example, you are taking idli or chapati or rice or dal. So will it be present as it is in the digestive system? No. Is it not, children? So what is going to happen after few hours? It is going to be changed to simple form. So that process we call it as a digestion. I hope you understood. The conversion of complex food into the simple form, that is glucose only, by the action of digestive enzymes is called digestion. Then absorption. So what do you mean by absorption? The food, whatever it is digested in different parts of the digestive system, especially in small intestine. So from the small intestine only, the digested food is going to enter into the some other system. Is it clear to you? So absorption, the cells are going to absorb the digested food which is said to be in simple form. So that process we call it as a absorption. Then the unwanted material, then our undigested material, whichever is there in our body, it is going to be sent out of the body through the anus or anal opening. That one we call it as a defecation. Is it clear to children? So the unwanted material or undigested food material, whichever is produced where our body does not require, and excess water also, it is going to be sent out of our body. So that sending out of that undigested material, undigested food material is called as a defecation. So these are the 4 important steps which are involved in the functioning of a digestive system. Is it clear to children, of our body? So now let us learn in detail how the process of digestion is going to happen. Means how the process of simplifying the complex organic molecule to simple form is happening in our body, that we are going to discuss now. Means the changes of the food whichever is happening in the alimentary canal of our body, we are going to discuss now. So just now only you learned that human digestive system is having different parts which are associated with the alimentary canal. You learned or not, children? So what are the different parts associated, that we have to learn or not? So that we are going to discuss now with the help of a diagram. So you have to practice this diagram, very important for your exam. So the human digestive system consists of the following parts: mouth, then salivary glands, esophagus, then liver, stomach, pancreas, so this is a large intestine, this highly coiled tube-like structure, that is a small intestine, and this portion rectum, and last portion anus. So this is the human digestive system. So mouth, salivary glands, then esophagus, liver, then stomach, pancreas, this tube, large intestine, and highly coiled tube-like structure, small intestine, rectum and anus. So these are the different parts which are associated with the digestive system, and in tomorrow's class let us learn what is happening once if we keep the food in the buccal cavity, what is happening to the food. Okay, so how the food is getting crushed or simplified. Is it not, children? So you will be observing when you are taking the food. So what are the changes happening? What do we call that? Then from the buccal cavity, how the food enters into the stomach. So that all points we will discuss tomorrow. Thank you.